something is growing in northern Ethiopia that should not exist. Right beside the Danakil Depression, the hottest place on Earth, where the ground can reach 50 degrees Celsius, a forest roughly the size of London is clawing its way back from near total death. Its name is Desa'a, in Ethiopia's Tigray region, and since 2018. A restoration group called Reforestation has been rebuilding it alongside tens of thousands of local farmers. Here's the real story in one sentence: they saved a dying forest not by planting trees, but by refusing to at least not first. Here's what actually happened, in plain terms, before the details get stranger. Desa'a is one of Ethiopia's oldest dry Afromontane forests, and by 2018, it had lost roughly 74% of its original tree cover to charcoal production, overgrazing, and firewood cutting, leaving more than 500,000 people who depend on it for water and land at risk. Instead of buying saplings, Reforestation and Tigray's Regional Agriculture Bureau spent years building an underground water network, hand-dug trenches, millions of small infiltration pits, and hundreds of kilometers of stone walls designed to force rainwater into the soil instead of letting it run off. The forest didn't grow from new seeds. It grew back from root systems that had survived underground for decades, waiting, by 2025, over 23,000 of a targeted 38,000 hectares had been restored even after a war tried to undo it. That's the headline. Now here's how strange the mechanism actually is. Historical accounts describe elephants and lions once moving through this land. Today, that's almost impossible to picture, because the damage went deeper than missing trees. Decades of overgrazing and firewood cutting left the ground itself broken in a way most people never think to look for. Millions of cattle hooves and years of relentless sun had compacted the soil into something closer to concrete than earth. When rain finally came, it didn't sink in. It hit the surface and ran, dragging away the last of the fertile topsoil and leaving the land drier after the rain than before it. Researchers have a name for this. They call it a green drought, and it's the reason every previous attempt to fix Desa'a with saplings alone had failed. This is the part most reforestation projects get catastrophically wrong, and two of the biggest tree planting operations on Earth prove it. On November 11th, 2019, at exactly 11:11 in the morning, Turkey launched a campaign called Breath for the Future. 11 million saplings, planted in a single day across more than 2,000 sites, with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan personally putting one in the ground. It broke a Guinness World Record. It made headlines everywhere. 3 months later, Forestry Union inspectors quietly checked on those trees across 6 provinces. What they found wasn't a forest. It was closer to a graveyard. Up to 90% of the saplings were already dead, planted in the wrong season, in soil with nowhere near enough water to keep them alive. The government disputed the number. The dead trees did not. China's Great Green Wall tells a slower version of the same story. Since 1978, an estimated 66 billion trees have gone into the ground along the edge of the Gobi Desert, working toward a target of 100 billion by 2050, one of the largest engineering projects human beings have ever attempted. As recently as November 2024, crews finally closed the last stretch of a 3,000-kilometer greenbelt around a different desert, 46 years after the project began, and the wall still isn't finished. It has worked to a point, but independent studies have found survival rates in some early plantings as low as 25%, because row after row of the same fast-growing species were pushed into soil that could never support them. Two of the most ambitious tree planting efforts in human history, separated by continents and decades, both hit the exact same wall. You cannot force a tree to live in dead ground. So, what did a handful of villagers in Tigray understand that entire governments didn't? The answer didn't come from a laboratory. It came from watching water. We forest engineers working alongside Tigray's Regional Agriculture Bureau noticed something the bigger projects had ignored. On Desa'a's baked slopes, rain wasn't the real problem. Speed was. Water was moving too fast to ever soak in. So the first move was almost embarrassingly low-tech. Villagers began hand-digging trenches, angled directly across the slope, breaking the hillside into a checkerboard built to do one job: stop water from running. In Hawila village, farmers like Keshi Zire, who would later expand his own land with new seedlings, watched crews carve trench after trench into ground that hadn't held water in living memory. Neighbors reportedly asked the engineers the obvious question. Again and again, where are the trees? The answer never changed. Not yet. There wasn't an easy answer yet. Before this goes further, if hidden mechanics like this are the kind of thing that keeps you watching, subscribe now, because this channel exists to find the real machinery behind stories the news never slows down enough to explain. Because what happened next is where this stops being a farming project and starts looking closer to resurrection. Here is the physics behind it. Every trench acted like a kill switch for water's kinetic energy. Instead of sliding downhill and gouging out topsoil, rainfall dropped in, stopped moving, and had nowhere left to go but down, straight toward the roots. Villagers didn't stop at trenches. Across the landscape, they hand-dug close to 3.8 million smaller catch pits, turning entire hillsides into something that looked, from above, almost like a giant waffle pressed into the earth. Every dip became a trap for moisture, even dew, even the lightest overnight mist. Alongside the pits came hundreds of kilometers of loose stone walls, stacked by hand with no cement, curving along the natural contours of the hills. By day, the stone soaked up heat. By night, it released that heat slowly, and water condensing in the cool air dripped straight into the soil below. But the trenches and the stone walls were never the real secret. The real secret was already in the ground, waiting. None of this was left to guesswork either. Researchers from McKell University began measuring infiltration rates directly inside the restored plots, tracking exactly how much faster water now soaked into ground that used to shed it like a tin roof, and comparing every result against untouched land nearby to prove the difference wasn't imagination. Beneath Desa'a's driest patches, the root systems of wild olive and African juniper trees, Olea europea and Juniperus procera, if you want their scientific names, had survived underground for decades, some driving roots dozens of meters down through cracked rock in search of water. This technique has a name almost nobody outside restoration science has heard: Farmer Managed Natural Regeneration. First documented by Australian agronomist Tony Rinaldo in the 1980s, who described the moment he understood it as something close to revelation. He called what he'd found underground forests root systems asleep, not dead, waiting only for water and protection before exploding back into growth 10 times faster than any nursery seedling ever could. Once the trenches began feeding water underground, Desa'a's forest didn't need to be planted. It needed to be woken up. Trenches and root systems solved half the problem. The other half walked on 4 legs. For generations, livestock in Tigray grazed freely, and a free roaming goat will strip a 2-year-old juniper shoot down to nothing in minutes. So WeForest and local officials made villagers a difficult trade, keep livestock out of the recovering zones completely, and in return, families would be taught to grow fodder grass nearby and cut it themselves. It sounds small. It wasn't. Children who once spent entire days walking a handful of sheep across bare hillsides suddenly had enough grass within an hour's walk to free them for school instead. Around 195 households took up beekeeping near the newly flowering trees, and within a single season, some hives were already producing more than 20 kilograms of honey. Families like Fettinus received an improved cook stove that nearly halved their weekly firewood use. This wasn't only a forest coming back, it was an entire way of surviving the land being rebuilt underneath it. By the numbers, it was working faster than almost anyone expected. But nothing in Tigray stays untouched by history for long. In November 2020, war broke out between Ethiopia's federal government and Tigray's regional forces. Within weeks, the region was under blockade. Electricity failed, banks closed, phone lines went dead. Families who had spent 2 years protecting Desa'a's regrowing trees were suddenly cut off from fuel, food, and income, with nothing left to burn for cooking and heat except the very trees they had been guarding. Satellite images from Google Earth and Maxar Technologies, comparing the same patches of restored land before and after the war began, show the evidence in color, green turning to scorched brown, month by month. Across Tigray, forest cover that had taken 30 years to rebuild fell from 17% in 2020 to just 12% by 2022. For 2 years, nobody knew if Desa'a would survive its own country's war. Tree planting across the region collapsed by more than 90%. Years of infrastructure sat exposed inside an active conflict zone. This is usually where a restoration story like this quietly ends, buried in a report almost nobody reads, blamed on forces beyond anyone's control. Except that isn't what happened here. On November 2nd, 2022, a ceasefire agreement finally ended the active fighting. The project's own 2025 records name the people who guided it through this period, among them Ethiopia Director Dr. Aklilu Negosi Mekuria and Tigray Regional Manager Yemane Gebru Hagos. When restoration teams were able to return to Desa'a, they found something that surprised even people who had worked there for years. The trenches were still there, the stone walls hadn't moved, and in several villages, community forest committees, ordinary farmers, unpaid and unfunded, had kept quietly patrolling and protecting the regrowth entirely on their own for the length of the war. Nobody had paid them to do it. Knowledge, once buried into a community, turned out to be harder to destroy than a blockade. By 2025, Desa'a had crossed more than 23,000 hectares of forest under active restoration out of a total target of 38,000, with juniper and olive at some sites growing from ankle height to over 2 meters tall in less than 3 years. More than 4 million new trees have been planted outright, with millions more resurrected from those old root systems instead of ever touching a nursery. None of this happened because of a miracle chemical, a satellite intervention, or a government press conference. It happened because a few thousand people decided to trust something almost nobody trusts anymore: patience, and the belief that what's broken beneath the surface has to be repaired before anything visible can grow back on top of it. That isn't only true of soil. Somewhere between the trenches and the stone walls, Desa'a is quietly proving a rule that reaches far beyond forests. If a hidden pattern like this is worth digging into, like this video, subscribe for the next one, and send it to somebody who needs the reminder that the most important work in the world usually happens underground, out of sight, long before anyone claims to see results, or gets a single camera crew to notice.